I live in Clay County, which is just outside of Jacksonville. And today I'm going to show you my monthly bills so you can get a true picture of what it really costs to live here. I'm going to break it down into housing, utilities, insurance, groceries, transferring your car, food, and last but not least, the fun stuff as well. Okay, so I'm going to start with housing. Since, I am a real estate agent, that is the most important thing because you kind of have to have a roof over your head. You're going to notice on your screen, I have broken down. First, we're going to talk about rentals and the median rental price. Now, what median rental price means is, for example, in St. Johns County for February, the median rental price was just under 2,300 a month. So that means out of all the ones sold, half sold for above the 2,300 or half sold for below. And I broke it down to St. Johns County, Clay County, and Jacksonville. Same thing goes with houses that have sold. I broke it down St. Johns County, Jacksonville, and Clay County. And you can see on your screen, this is for February of 2026. Um, all the houses that have sold are either above 545,000 in St. Johns County or under 545,000 in Clay. So what's next is talking about utilities and insurance. Now, if you see on the screen, the electric and the water, my water bill pretty much runs about 70 a month every month. Sometimes it goes up, sometimes it goes down. Mainly it goes up. My electric, there's two numbers there. 177 was from this past January. I don't know if you heard about the great freeze in Florida of 2026. It was bad. We had lots of frost. It was cold. Iguanas were falling out of trees. At least they were down south. We ran our heat a lot. We are not built for that. Our coats consist of hoodies, lots of hoodies. It was miserable. I know you northerners are laughing at us, but that's okay. When you move here, you're going to get acclimated to our weather. And then in a few years of being here, you're going to whine about the cold just like the rest of us. Now, normally it's a little bit lower in the winter because our winters are kind of mild here. Not as mild as southern Florida, but usually, our electric bill is a lot lower because we don't have to run AC or heat for the most part in the winter. Summertime, if you notice, our bill was about $210. Now, that was for August, and August tends to be the more expensive, hottest month for our area. So we run the AC a lot. And we're also menopausal, so that has plays a factor in it too because we can't stand the heat as much, which you think in the wintertime you wouldn't be as cold because of that. But when it's frigid and Alaskan style temperatures, yeah, we are still cold, especially me. I won't lie. So, also, car insurance, homeowners insurance. I threw that in there under the utilities. The car insurance, if you notice, our car insurance for three cars, full coverage, three cars, this last time was $3,900. It was $6,900. No way. But it was $3,900 for the 6 months. Now, none of us have tickets or accidents that were a fault. I did have an accident a year and a half ago. It was not my fault. But none of that. And we've been with Progressive for a while. Now, we did get a huge rebate, or I should say credit, on our policy this month, or actually the 2 months of almost $1,400. They took off our policy, so it went from $3,900 down to $2,400, $2,500, which was a lot better. And we got 2 months of not having to make the payment. And they said that was insurance reform. So I hope that the next 6 months is lower too. I did get a quote because my policy is going to be ending this month. I did get a quote from Allstate of $466 a month for three vehicles, and that's a lot less because we were paying $652 a month. I hate paying extra for insurance, especially when I'm not using it, but you never know, you may need it. Homeowners insurance last year in July, our renewal was $1,500, a little over $1,500, and that jumped up by 500 and some dollars too. Now, after that, of course, it was after that they talked about insurance prices dropping for homeowners insurance. So I'm hoping my next one renewal will be a lot less. And it homeowners insurance and car insurance are expensive in our area, and homeowners insurance, they have gotten more strict. Like, you know, State Farm won't insure our house that was built in 1981. And speaking of our house, I guess I probably should mention that we are a family of three adults. We live in a almost 1,300 square foot ranch style brick and concrete, mainly concrete block house. Just to give you an idea. And we do have an excessive amount of cats who think they are in charge. Okay, next up is groceries. That's another one that kind of hurts when you go there. It's not so fun to go shopping anymore. But I gave you a small breakdown, and this is what I would get at Walmart. And you can check their app and also check the prices that way. But I am kind of a meat and veggie kind of girl. So the things that I usually eat are mentioned on the screen. You're going to see the eggs, which I'm very happy to see the egg price come down. Chuck eye, and let me tell you about chuck eye. If you've never had chuck eye, it's really, really good, and it is cheaper than ribeye. And I think it's actually tastier than ribeye too. I know some people love their ribeye. I love my chuck eye, so I actually prefer it, and it's a way cheaper. But I did a cost of living a few years ago too, and I think in 2020, that's more than a few years, but 2020 or 21, chuck eye was $8.99 a pound, and now it's $12.98 a pound. So that is kind of a big difference. The egg prices, they went up what, like a year ago, and they came back down, thankfully, because I eat a lot of eggs. And coffee, got to have my coffee. I am slightly bitter about that too because my Starbucks, the ground Starbucks, which is what I usually get, the bigger one, the 28 ounces, it went from $20 to $25 just a couple weeks ago. And I'm filming this in March of 2026. I believe today's the 5th. So I'm a little bitter about that too. I use heavy cream, and you see heavy creams mentioned. You probably think, oh, that's kind of weird, but I use heavy cream for my coffee. It's less sugar, makes it really creamy. It's a little bit heavier. It gives you some fat, but it's very tasty, and that's about $10 for the big one. And I'm not gonna lie, I do use that a lot, and I probably go through it maybe one a week, maybe a little over a week. Okay, so speaking of food, if you're out and about, you're running some errands, you want a date night, you're kind of curious what the food prices are running, restaurants and stuff. I added a few things like, your McDonald's, Culver's, which is one of my favorites. Chipotle, I love their three taco deal. It's like $12 because I usually add like guacamole, that costs more. And that's if you do chicken. Any of the meats are going to be similar in price. Back in February, we went out to dinner with my son for his birthday, and that cost us about $40. That was a calzone, a California sandwich, I believe a glass of wine, and also just water. Just to give you an idea, um, it does vary. The loop, I don't know if you've ever heard of the loop. I don't know if it's just a Florida thing, but I really like the loop because the prices are decent and they give you a variety of stuff. There's sandwiches, their mushroom Swiss burger is really good. If you're trying to go low carb, you can skip the bun, throw in some broccoli. It's really tasty. They have pizzas. You can see what their range is there on the screen. So that kind of gives you a little bit of idea of what the food is when you go eat out. Okay, next up on the agenda is talking about how much it costs for your driver's license and also bringing a car into the state of Florida. Back in the day, now I don't know what day, all I know is it stopped before I moved here in 1999. State of Florida would charge you like $1,000, kind of like an impact fee for every car that you brought in, which I think is crazy. And that is not the case today. It's currently $225 per vehicle. And that could even be if you live in the state of Florida and you just got your license, your vehicle, your tag for the first time. Then you have that $225 fee. But every year it renews, usually about, I think it's like $30 to $36 a year based on how big your vehicle is. Your driver's license about $48 to get a Florida driver's license. Now, that is what your standard driver's license is. If you have like CDLs or bus driver license, or if you drive a hearse, those fees are a little bit different too. Okay, so last but not least, and this is the one that, you come to Florida for all this fun stuff. So let's talk a little bit about the cost. If you're going to a regular park that's county maintained, you're not going to have any fees for the most part to go in and enjoy it, even if it's hiking or biking. Places like Hannah Park, Anastasia State Park, there are fees there. Check out the screen. I don't want to go over each individual one and make you fall asleep, but let me talk about Anastasia real quick because I love that park. That park, you have a beach. Okay, when you also have kayaks, hiking. It's not a beach that you drive on. You do park and you walk to the beach, and I really highly recommend that you either don't bring much stuff, or if you're going to bring a lot of stuff, have some type of way of pulling it on wheels because it is a long walk to the beach and it can get a little tiring when you're walking through the sand and you come back and it's been a long day in the sun. The good thing though is if you don't want to bring food, there is a restaurant there too. And they have a variety of stuff for, like chicken tenders, salads, there's burgers, there's baskets that you can get. So if you don't want to bring food, that'll help eliminate having to carry some stuff. It's about $2 to $8 to get into the park, and that covers like $2 would be if you're riding your bike and you come in, or if you're just a pedestrian, you come in. $8 is for a lot more people in a vehicle. If you're just you by yourself in a vehicle, it is less. Kayaking, you can rent kayaks. You can actually kayak to the lighthouse, the St. Augustine Lighthouse. We did do that, but no, we did not go all the way to the lighthouse. We had to pace ourselves because, we're a little out of shape. But that is super fun. And the water was really peaceful that day, so it wasn't like we were trying to paddle for our lives or anything. It was very enjoyable. Um, they do rent the one seater, the two seater. They have canoes, they have paddle boards that you can rent. Um, and just to let you know, in the description box is going to be a link to my blog. And my blog, I'm going to have all these links so that you can see, what is Top Golf all about? What are the parks? Um, what are the different utilities, the car fees, the DMV fees, um, everything that you need to move to this area, to Florida, Northeast Florida, which is like Jacksonville, Clay County, and St. John's. So make sure you check out that blog post and check out my video on the different areas comparing St. John's, Clay, and Jacksonville.